Let's start out with what canavan disease is. Canavan disease is a genetic neurological disorder that damages the ability for neurons to send and receive information. It does this by damaging the growth or maintenance of the myelin sheath, which is a covering that protects the nerves. The genetic cause of canavan disease is a hereditary mutation, and for it to happen, both parents need to have the mutated gene. In this case, it's a mutation of the ASPA gene found on chromosome 17. The ASPA gene has instructions on how to make an enzyme called asparticylase, which breaks down a compound called NAA. Since NAA can't be broken down, it leads to missing enzymes as well as overproduction of asparticylase, which can lead to problems that I'll discuss later. This disorder occurs because of a genetic mutation in both parents' germline cells and is recessive with no environmental cause. It affects both males and females equally and is almost exclusively in those of Jewish descent. The mutated gene is hereditary, meaning for the disorder to happen, the mutation must be in the sperm and egg cells. Other than that, there's no external way to get the disorder or be a carrier. The onset of symptoms first begin around 3 to 6 months, and in most cases, children die before age 10. However, depending on severity, they can live up to their teens and into adulthood, although it's very rare, and those who do end up living that long tend to have more mild symptoms. Some physical effects canavan disease has on someone are blindness, deafness, low muscle tone, abnormally large head, and seizures. All of these symptoms get worse over time and progress gradually. Some common mental symptoms are delays in developmental milestones and a reduced quality of life. The reason why children with canavan disease develop these symptoms is because of the disorder, asparticylase can't be produced, and the breakdown of NAA never happens. This leads to an excessive amount of NAA in the myelin sheath, which causes it to break down. Because the myelin sheath deteriorates, it makes nerve impulses slow down or stop completely. Canavan disease is autosomal recessive. This means that both parents need to have the mutated gene for the offspring to be potentially affected. It also means that 1 in 4 will develop the disease, 2 in 4 will be carriers, and 1 in 4 will be completely unaffected. For cures and treatments, there's no standard procedure for the disease, and the only treatment is managing the symptoms. For Western medicine, physiotherapy can help with low muscle tone, and seizures can be treated with anti-epileptic drugs. The person may be put in a wheelchair and have different medical equipment available to them, such as a feeding tube, and take frequent visits to the hospital and doctors. For alternative medicine, acupuncture is used to relieve pain, as well as massage therapy and keeping the person comfortable with a healthy diet, including lots of vegetables and protein. For current research into the disease, scientists at the University of California are studying how high levels of NAA affect the brain. They figured out by testing on mice that mice with canavan disease and no NAA in the brain did not develop symptoms. This suggests that the chemical NAA is toxic in the brains of those with canavan disease, and what causes most of its symptoms is the amount of NAA in the brain and not the actual brain. A recent gene therapy used to treat canavan disease involves using vector gene therapy to insert asparticylase in the brain, and over time NAA starts to be broken down and symptoms start to lessen. In this chart, it shows the difference of NAA levels in the brain before and after gene therapy, and how it went down. The conclusion of the study was that there were very little adverse reactions, however, this method is still in trials. Next is statistics. Canavan disease can occur in all ethnic backgrounds, but it's mainly found in those of Jewish descent living in Europe. It's a global disease that affects 1 in 6,400 to 13,500 people in the Jewish population, and around 2% are carriers. The statistics for other ethnic groups are unknown, but they're assumed to be much lower.